Top of the morning, lovely people. Welcome back to our online semester lectures. Sorry for the delay in getting some of these up. It's been a few hectic weeks, but anywho, we are back. We gotta cover chapters 14 and 16. 15 you've taken on your own. You've taken the book quiz over. Anywho, but chapter 14 and chapter 16 are in fact some of my favorites of the semester. Obviously, we're hitting the Texas Revolution, we're hitting the Civil War. It's good stuff. It's good information. So, anywho, gonna come to you live, get both, this evening, get both lectures of chapter 14 recorded. Chapter 16 will come on later this week. Different angle of my apartment, different background. All the animals are around, as you can see. Got my badass Chris Angel t-shirt on. Rocking it today, just saying. Yes, hi, buddy. Anywho, so there might be a few distractions. You never know. We got animals everywhere in this apartment. But anywho, let us get rolling and hit chapter 14. And talk about a pretty fun section. So, honey. Y'all are just sleeping just fine until Mama starts the recordings. Then everybody wakes up. Anywho. So, chapter 14. This our one lecture alone on chapter 13. Basically talking about how the country had transpired in the wake of the first... Gotta leave it. Hey. No. In the first wake of the 1800s. But obviously chapter 13 also covers in great depth a lot on slavery. Right? Basically, all, immigrants were found up north. Most industrialization was found up north. The growth and expansion of, cities and towns and business and manufacturing, that all happens up north. Commerce, industry, all that is growing. Hi, honey. Is growing up north. If you are in the south, there are two primary avenues. Cotton, as we now know, and slavery, right? If you're in the south and you're white, you're a yeoman farmer or you're a tenant farmer, and about 94% of those who make up people in the South are in fact slaves, right? So it's slavery is just, considering you at this point in time, you can draw a line across the country, straight as I can get my line. You can draw a line across the country. Ruby, I can see you. Leave her alone. Line across the country, and it's invisible, but basically everything below that line is pro-slavery, pro-slave trade, Democrats dedicated, oh my god, Democrats dedicated to keeping it open, keeping slavery alive, the slave trade open. Everyone above that line to the north is becoming more and more anti-slavery, more open-minded, more hands-on per se, right? More hands-on? More hands-on per se. More, in terms of open-minded thinking and growth and... it's just becoming this constant battle between pro-slavery and anti-slavery in this country. North is anti, obviously, South is pro. But, it's where we're going down the road. It starts with Gabriel's Rebellion, right, under John Adams. It's the first brick laid in the Yellow Brick Road that led us to slavery. Started the whole slavery concept and the fate of slavery really, kicked into gear. And it's just been continuing to grow. We've seen it continue to grow throughout the 1800s, in the first half of the 1800s, obviously. But the whole, it's coming to dominate every faction of politics and every discussion on the board. But it will be put on hold temporarily. It will be put on hold temporarily due to this thing that happens in our country called the Texas Revolution. We are there, people. It's a fun one. It's a really fun one. But anywho, so... the whole road to the Texas Revolution occurs because of the Louisiana Purchase under Thomas Jefferson, right? We have 828 roughly 1,000 acres, or square miles of land, square miles of land to move on to, I should say. And all these new states are being formed, and these new cities and these new towns. And people are flocking west by the hundreds of thousands for a variety of different reasons. Per se, we're going to see all sorts of reasons. One of the very first reasons that people will go west, so will migrate west into these new territories is money. Entrepreneurial reasons. If we see what we start with in chapter 14 in the PowerPoint, you see People who go west for entrepreneurial reasons, such as fur. The fur industry became this country's first individual multi-million-dollar business. Entrepreneurial, I should say, multi-million-dollar business. We've seen, obviously, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar businesses in the past. Tobacco, cotton, etc., etc. But in terms of individuals going out and striking it rich and making millions of dollars themselves, fur will do it. There, in the first half of the 1800s, up to about 1840 or so, you couldn't keep fur on the shelf. Don't forget, Lewis and Clark discovered over 300 new different types of species of plant and animal. Things like, the raccoon. People had never, had forgotten about. It wasn't on a big fur. That will come back. The skunk. Really pretty. Really, really soft, too, by the way. Don't try and pet one, just saying. I was telling, what if you, just a few mornings ago, what if, per se, you go into a feed room, I don't know, say a ranch, and it's dark, but you reach, it's about 6:30 in the morning, and you reach into the feed, the lights are off, the feed bin's off into the feed troughs, to such a tangent, but it's connected, I promise. So, in the dark, you reach in, and you think, raccoon, knocks the feed bin, lay it off, whatever. You reach into the feed bin to grab the feed scoop, and instead you grab something alive, and fuzzy, and wiggling, and warm. OMG. Just saying. And next thing you know, the entire room smells like crap. Skunks are very soft. Just throwing that out there. Personal experience. But, so not only are they soft, but they're beautiful. I mean, that black fur with that bleach white stripe, it's a big hit. It's a big hit. All sorts. I've got so many different animals in here. But long story short, people will go nuts. And fur will become the hot commodity. Fur, hats, scarves, silk, good God, hats, scarves, shirts, that sounds better, gloves, everything you can think of, boots. So, would you believe that most animals, the beaver, almost went extinct? True story. The raccoon almost went extinct. The sea otter pelts are going to go crazy, people will go crazy for. Sea otters almost went extinct. True story, because there was so much over-trapping. Due to fur. The man who really put this entrepreneurial business on the shelf was, in fact, a man by the name of John Jacob Astor. John Jacob Astor John Jacob Astor Sr. He will be our country's, great test question, first ever entrepreneurial multimillionaire. Because he will make, alone in fur trapping, $20 million. In the early 1800s. That ain't bad. Throw that out there. So, John Jacob Astor Sr. makes money in fur. Puts the Astor family on the map. He goes on to invest in things like oil and etc., etc. But it is John Jacob Astor Sr. is this country's first ever multimillionaire. John Jacob Astor Jr., however, he had a son. Spoiler alert. John Jacob Astor Jr., who will really become the famous John Jacob that became known throughout history, because John Jacob Astor Jr., his son, will go down in an infamous event. If we were in class, I would see if I could guess. John Jacob Astor Jr. went down. He may have sunk in a very infamous event in 1912. What could I possibly be talking about? The Titanic. John Jacob Astor Jr. died on the Titanic. But his father's claim to fame will be, sorry, text message, got me distracted. Will be, the family made the fame because of fur. So, fur, money is the reason people go west. What about, because it's their God-given duty, it's their God-given destiny to go west. That is a reasoning too. White Americans were so biased in the 1800s. We can still claim that we are today. But we were so biased. We were so arrogant. We were so entitled. We were so what's the word? Ignorant. Again, you can make the claim that we still are today. But we were so ignorant in the 1800s. Now, granted, we've had Louisiana Territory, but they're in Mexico did still, at this point, own land. They own several states over in the western portion of the country. Well, territories, they're not states. Territories, New Mexico, Texas, California, etc., etc. But the land above California, this land kind of known as the Oregon Territory, that's still there for the taking. And there's a man by the name of John Sullivan, who worked for the Democratic Review, who coined the term for this belief system called manifest destiny. This belief that it was our God-given duty to make sure that our country was big enough for our yearly multiplying millions, so that our children and our children's children and our children's children's children and our great 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 grandchildren, that shirt looks really funky, anyway, have room in this country so we can continue to grow and expand and thrive. And the only way to do that, they believed, is to make sure that we've expand our country as far as we can, all the way, long story short, from the Pacific to the Atlantic, right? Now, Oregon Territory, we have Louisiana Territory, but there's still more room that's been unspoken for all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And it was our God-given destiny to make sure to claim that in the name of our country, so that we had that to add on, to expand onto our country, to ensure we have room for our yearly multiplying millions, right? Which I'm on board with that. I have no problem with that. Makes sense. The problem with this concept of it's our God-given destiny to ensure that we expand and we secure the size of our country for the continuing growth of our million populations, expansion. My only problem of it is that we also believed that we were the only people group smart enough, capable of doing so. African Americans, and this is our belief in the 1800s. African Americans, come on, they can't do it. So untrue, so arrogant. Immigrants, come on, like they're actually gonna do it, or they're gonna care about doing it. Native Americans, they're on the path to freaking extinction, right? Who cares about the Native Americans? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure they already have, right? Just saying. Throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Pretty sure they already have. But we were so arrogant and entitled that we believed that if this were to happen, we were the only people group, white Americans, us, who could get the job done. So it was literally up to us to ensure we expand our country for our yearly multiplying millions. So, this belief system, which became known as manifest destiny, will cause us to launch this expedition to take these people who are going to leave the Mississippi River, start the Mississippi River, and expand and travel all the way across the country until they hit the Pacific Ocean in the name of the United States and claim any territory that was unclaimed in the name of the United States. This trek became nicknamed the Wagon Train of 1843. Its official name was the Great Migration of 1843. Throwing that out there. So, great test question. The Great Migration is its official name. It's one of those things where that was its name. Of course, we rename it. We, kind of like the Lewis and Clark Expedition was named the Corps of Discovery. We nicknamed it the Lewis and Clark Expedition. The official name of this expedition was the Great Migration of 1843. We rename it because of where they hit the Pacific, where they were when they hit the Pacific Ocean. We rename it the Oregon Trail. These are the people that partook in the Oregon Trail. Again, from the Mississippi River across the country all the way till they hit the Pacific Ocean and what would become known as Oregon. Now, there was an army captain, his name was John Grant, who was paid $1 a person for every person that he successfully got to the Pacific Ocean. And in the 1800s, now I'll tell you the numbers. I believe I have 700 to 1,000. I have never seen the same number of people who partook on the Oregon Trail twice. I've seen numbers in the 700s. I've seen numbers all the way into the high 900s. I've seen numbers in the 800s. Nobody quite apparently knows for sure how many people partook in the Oregon Trail. It was somewhere between 700 to 1,000. But what I can tell you is that John Grant was paid $1 per person for every person he successfully got to the Pacific Ocean. He did get most people there. Most people did make the whole trek. They unfortunately lost them along the way. Some just said, peace, I'm out along the way. But let's just say, and I'm just throwing, because nobody knows for sure, so I'm throwing a random number out. Let's say 986. He got 986 people safely to the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific coast. Well, $1 per person, that's $986. That seems like a good chunk of change, right? Except that the trek took somewhere in between 4 to 6 months. That's when I'm like, oh, hell to the no. Don't you know, at some point, I'm 6 weeks in, he's like, damn. Even 2 months in, 3 months in, he was like, damn. I should have asked for $3 a person, right? I should at least ask for $2 a person, right? But, for however many people he got there, he got $1. We successfully reached the Pacific Ocean for the first time in American history, claimed the Oregon Territory, the name of our country. And now our country did officially reach from the Pacific to the Atlantic. They had fulfilled their manifest destiny. So that was a reason to go west. What about religious reasons? Pardon me for a minute. That was actually my vet texting me. Okay. Anywho, what about religious reasons? There was a religious group that went west and settled in unknown territory. These people known as the Mormons. Now, normally in class I would ask if anybody is a Mormon, belongs to the Mormon faith, and every now and then I do get somebody who is a practicing Mormon, which makes the discussion 10 times greater because they know a whole lot more about their faith than I do. I can give you the basis of it and what I know. It's always so much better to have somebody who's more in depth and actually a part of the community who can add, more information than I know to the lectures. But since we're not in class and I can't ask, I will tell you the story though. I will tell you the foundation of the Mormon faith and why they went west and why they settled where they settled. Because it all starts with a man by the name of Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith, so multitasking here. My vet continues to text me. Okay. It begins with a man by the name of Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was a young man, lived in upstate New York. And from the time he was young, he'd always been very religious. He'd always been, believed in God. He'd always, seen himself obviously as religious, but throughout his, young adult life, he had searched for a established religion, an established practice that he believed in to join, a church family per se. You've got your Lutherans, you've got your Protestant, you've got your Congregational. Baptists aren't formed yet, but you get the point. But all these is already, precursor to established religious chapters. He never quite felt like he fit in. He never quite felt. I am so sitting wrong on my leg. Ugh, okay. He never quite felt like he fit in. He never quite felt like he belonged. He never quite felt like he found somewhere he could call home. Which, if you are, religious and, having a church family is pretty special. He never could find one. And, frustrated, right? Frustrated he couldn't find somewhere to fit in. And there was a reason why. In a dream one night, in 1830, God came to him in a dream one night and basically told him, there's a reason you haven't found an organized, established religious chapter to join. I have bigger plans for you. My goal for you is not to join an already established religious chapter or church. My goal for you is to start a brand new one. My plan for you is to found a new religion inside, in this world. He wakes up from his dream, and it's a dream, right? He's probably thinking, I ate way too many spicy Cheetos before I went to bed last night, right? But again, it's a dream. He's like, was that real? but he can't let go of it. He can't shake it. And it was so, he wakes up to it and he's just consumed by it. And he can't let go of it. And so he holds on to it, and he has to wait. Long story short, if you are religious, you know that things don't happen on our timetable. Things happen on God's timetable. We have God can see the future. We can't. God knows what He's got in store and the plan for us, and what's going to happen to us. We don't. So it's frustrating sometimes because we want things to happen on our timetable, but faithfully you wait. And so did he. Faithfully he waited, because at some point there had to be some direction, right? He had to be given some type of sign, something of that magnitude, right? So he waited. It's one of those things where you wait and you wait and you wait, and you start to question yourself and you start to doubt, but then you have to have faith. And finally, after waiting and waiting and waiting, he's finally given his sign. He's finally given some direction. 4. One day he looks out, he looks out his out a window per se. He looks out and he sees an angel. He sees an angel up in the sky, kind of hovering. I don't want to say hovering, but this angel up in the sky, which is directly above this hill. And he's like, oh my God, there's my sign. It's an angel. So he goes running towards this angel. He comes up, running out of his house, running towards this angel. But he's got to, this angel is above, hovering above this hill. So he's got to get to the top of the hill to reach the angel. So he's trying to get as quickly as he can. He's running up this hill. He's climbing up this hill, trying to keep his eyes and not lose sight of the angel. And he finally gets to the top of the hill, right? When he gets to the top of the hill, he looks up and the angel is gone. And he's like, I'm losing it, right? Now I'm seeing things, and he can't, he's sitting there, bless his heart, I'm sure he's sitting there trying to make sense of, did I actually see that, or am I crazy? And he's like, because it's gone. And he's standing there trying to make sense of what was happening, trying to make sense of what he had seen. And as he's standing at the top of this hill and he's confused and trying to sort through it, it's kind of like, this voice from behind him. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you feel like some, presence with you. And it's like someone had, there was nobody there, but it's like someone had spoken to him, told him to dig. Crazy as it sounds, he's going to drop to his knees, and doesn't know what to do. He's going to dig. He's going to dig down into the earth, into the dirt, and he's going to dig down, and eventually he will find something. He will find this buried book on this beautiful book in this language he can't understand. This ancient language, but a beautiful book with these gold leaf pages, and he's found something. So he takes his book home and, cleans it up a little bit, and he's flipping through it, trying to understand what is happening, because he can't read it, right? It's in this language he doesn't understand. But as he's flipping through and he's trying to sort through everything that's going on, God gives him the ability to translate it. God gives him the ability to understand it. Now, every now and then in class, I have people start to roll their eyes, and people are like, that sounds far-fetched. Well, I'll tell you what. The beginning of every freaking religion is far-fetched, right? Beginning of every religion, you're like, that's just that's the goofiest thing I've ever heard, or there's no way that happened, or that's just bogus. This is how the Mormon faith starts. This is the basis of how it happens, and it's truly what they believe. And so, if they believe it, who are we to question it, right? We wouldn't be happy people questioned the beginning of our religion, right? So it's a fascinating story, because then again, only he can see this book. He is the only one who has the ability to translate it, but he doesn't want other people to see it. He doesn't want other people to get their hands on it. So, but we need to copy it, right? We need to copy it down into English. So he calls for this scribe. He puts up this veil in his house, and he sits behind the veil, so people can't see this book. He sits behind the veil. He calls for a scribe. The scribe sits on the other side of the veil. And then Joseph Smith will read the book aloud. He'll read the book aloud, in English, and word for word, the scribe will write down what Joseph Smith is reading from the book, the original book. And when from the first word of the first chapter to the last word of the last chapter, once the entire thing has been copied down into English, it becomes the Book of the Mormons, the Bible for the Mormon faith. And it details the religion, it details what they believe, it details the characteristics of how they should live their lives, it details their thought and their belief basis, but it also states in the Book of the Mormons that the Mormons would settle and create a new community. They would form and settle a city that would be called Zion, which might sound a little science fiction-y to some, but if you're familiar with the Bible and the Christian faith, Zion was the original name for the city of Jerusalem. So, they're supposed to be forming a new Jerusalem inside the United States, and this is where the Mormons would call home. But there's, if they're going to go, start their, and build their own community, they need to be on empty, available land to do it, right? And there's none of that in New York. But now we know, we have our basis, we have our faith, we have our direction. We know what we're supposed to be doing, right? So now Joseph Smith just has to basically found the faith, educate people on it, get people to join, and build the Mormon Church, which he does. So that takes some time, but he gets to where it's about, I believe, 16,000 people follow Joseph, or follow some, oh, come on. Ugh, I don't want to get my numbers wrong here. Oh, come on. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, 16,000. So we only 16,000, we'll finally have about 16,000 people or so on board, and west they will go into the, northern Louisiana territory, trying to find the place to settle that they can call home. To found the city of Zion. Originally, were they, Joseph Smith, they stopped, they decide they're going to set down roots, they decide that they have founded where they're meant to be, is on the swamp banks of Nauvoo, Illinois. Which is where it's a little weird, if you ask me, I'm just saying. Nauvoo, Illinois A, they settle in swampland, and B, what is the purpose and the basis of settling in a swamp? I'm just saying. Everyone seems to they're like, hey, swampland, mosquitoes, snakes, alligators. Let's settle here, right? It cracks me up. Anywho, Nauvoo, Illinois it's a very, very Christian-based community. I mean, they are hardcore, dedicated Christians. And they're not too happy about the fact that all these people have shown up that call themselves this new Mormon faith, and they're going to found this new religious community in their town and their city. Oh, heck to the no, right? Not okay. And almost immediately there's conflict between the Christians already in Nauvoo, Illinois, and Joseph Smith and the Mormons, his followers. And there's just a lot of beef. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of animosity, hostility per se. Christians have problems with the faith because it differs, in a bunch of areas from what they believe. There's a few areas of how the Mormons live their lives and just their cultural traits that people have problems with. There's a lot of issues that arise between the two, and the people in Nauvoo, Illinois do not handle it well. And this beef, this rivalry begins between, the people of Nauvoo, Illinois and Joseph Smith and the Mormons. But a rivalry is a rivalry. That's one thing, right? It's a one thing not to like each other. But eventually, the tensions and the problems will continue to grow. They will continue to rise. And it'll get to the point where a group of Christians in Nauvoo, Illinois decide that they're going to print this anti-Mormon newspaper. Basically do everything, bash Joseph Smith, bash the faith, bash, the Mormons, etc., trying to get this anti-Mormon sentiment to grow, with the goal of hopefully running them out or convincing them to leave eventually, right? So they create this anti-Mormon newspaper that just bashes and trashes Joseph Smith and his followers up one side and down the other. And this ticks Joseph Smith off. He ain't too happy about it, right? So, unfortunately, this is where things kind of go from bad to worse. For some of his followers will go into Nauvoo, Illinois, because this newspaper's got them so ticked off, they're going to make sure this newspaper cannot be printed anymore, right? So they're going to go into Nauvoo, Illinois, and long story short, they're going to break into this printing press, this company, and just do all sorts of damage, bring all sorts of hell, do all this destruction to the printing press company itself, damage the machines so they can't work, and just not good. Committed a pretty serious crime. And long story short, the governor of Illinois will now step in. He says, okay, look, it's one thing for you guys not to get along. And it's one thing to have this rivalry and this beef and this tension between the two. I'm sorry. But on the flip side, That's one thing. And I'm sorry you don't like this newspaper, but they do have the right of freedom of press. And so they have the right to print it whether you like it or not. But now you've taken it too far. You've broken into this printing press. You've done all sorts of destruction. You've committed a crime. And you will be held accountable for your actions. And so Joseph Smith is arrested for the destruction of the printing press. He's locked up in jail, and he will have his day in court, right? The plan is to have his day in court, plead his case. But he'll never get there. He'll never have his day in court. For as he is locked up in his jail cell, a group of people from Illinois, Nauvoo, will break into his jail cell, attack him, shoot him, and kill him. Now the founder of the Mormon faith, the reason these people are here, the reason these people are here is dead. He's been murdered. And now the flock is without a shepherd. Can't talk right now. And this just can't be it, right? Which, by the way, if you go to Nauvoo, Illinois, Joseph Smith's jail cell is a National Historic Landmark. It's been preserved, and it's pretty cool to actually go see, because they've actually preserved it. It's really neat to go visit for historical purposes. But anyway, this can't be it, right? This can't be where God intended them to be. Things have gone from bad to worse, and now their leader has been killed. Surely this cannot be where God intended them to settle. So the goal is to pack up and move and figure out where they're supposed to be. They picked the wrong spot. They landed in the wrong spot. Let's try this again. But Joseph Smith has been murdered. This flock needs a new shepherd, someone to replace and lead them. So Joseph Smith needs to be replaced. And he is. He is replaced by a man by the name of Brigham Young, who was a military commander, very experienced at leading people, moving people. I mean, just the right man for the job. And he will take the 16,000 remaining Mormons or so, will pack all up, and he will lead them west again. And this time, when they finally settle and they set down roots, they are where they were supposed to be, apparently, all along. Because once they settle down for a second time, the Mormon community will grow. It will grow. It will thrive. It will take off. And it is still, to this day, the Mormon capital of our country. And it is the biggest Mormon community that we have in our country. Where they settled the second time became Salt Lake City, Utah, right? Apparently where they were supposed to be all along, because they will thrive there. Now, Brigham Young is known for settling the Mormons in Salt Lake City, Utah. Joseph Smith founds the faith. Brigham Young settles them in Salt Lake City, Utah. Brigham Young is known because obviously there is a university that will be built there in his name, or rebuilt in his name, Brigham Young University. But Brigham Young did more than just that. Brigham Young will really kind of push and encourage. It's already alive. It's already established. But he will really push and encourage Mormons to embrace and act upon a specific institution that the Mormons unfortunately became famous for. This institute, Brigham Young is the one who really concreted the institution and the popularity of polygamy in the Mormon faith. And for a long time, polygamy was a big factor, was a big encouraged and accepted factor in the Mormon faith. Brigham Young himself, y'all, had 27 wives and 47 children. Hashtag fertile, right? Like, holy crap. Holy freaking crap. That is a fertile individual, just saying. And polygamy, I'll tell you. Now, it's not allowed today, obviously. I mean, legally, it was never, you never could technically pursue. You can only legally, technically be married to one person at a time, right? But it doesn't mean that they didn't practice the institute. And people still do today. I mean, I can only get through 3 episodes myself. I just couldn't do it. But the biggest, most popular talking thing going on right now is the Tiger King, right? There's a polygamy all over that show if you watched it on Netflix. It's fascinating. I was just like, this is too much for me. I can't handle it. This is just too much. But, so it is still practiced today. And there is a group there are people of the Mormon faith and others who do still practice it. Now, the actual Mormon church, the actual established Mormon church, and the true chapter of the Mormon faith no longer accepts it. No longer recognizes it, allows it, practices it, right? I had a young lady, great student, loved her dearly, really truly did. She was Mormon, but when we talked about this when she was in my class, it got a little heated. This was a hot button issue for her. She wanted to make sure we fully understood that her faith no longer practices, inside the established church, polygamy. It's not what they should be known for today. She was very adamant about it, which it's not. But again, there are people that still do, and there is a very famous chapter of Mormons who have been expelled. They've been extolled from the church. They are not allowed to be part of the established actual religion. They're kind of like this group of outlaw Mormons per se, who still do practice polygamy. And again, others do too, because I don't believe the Tiger King, Joe, whoever, I don't believe he was Mormon. So, I mean, it's people still do practice it. But the Mormons, the outlaw Mormons who practice it, there was actually a show, and I've never seen it. I don't watch a lot of reality television. But there was a show on called Sister Wives, right? About those who still practice the Institute of Polygamy. And polygamy itself is such a fascinating thing just to study and research and educate yourself on. Because, like, depending on if you can have 3 wives, you can have 30 wives. The first wife, is the only one you're technically legally married to, let's be honest. But she's also always the alpha. She's always the most important. Wives 2 through 30 are kind of basically on the same basis. But the first wife is always the head honcho. She's always the most special in the eyes of her husband. She's always the most important. She's always the chosen one, per se. I had someone in my class put it that way one time. So it's just a fascinating institute. But Brigham Young is the one who really concreted it. Again, it was already being practiced. It's not like he introduced it. He more concreted it into the faith. But, again, if we were in class, this brings in a very interesting discussion time. If I can get you all to talk, right? But a very interesting discussion time, because it's fascinating, and it's still an issue today. But, long story short, that is why the Mormons go west. That is why they are, the Mormon community founded in Salt Lake City, Utah. So you've got religion, you've got our destiny, it's our God-given responsibility. You've got entrepreneurial reasons. You've got people moving for, just to start a new life. People who wanting land. All sorts of reasons up north. This collective melting pot of reasons of why people up north are going west, right? Now let's break it down south. If you are going west down south, it is because of one of 2 reasons. Cotton and slavery, right? You want land to grow cotton on. Which obviously would increase and help permeate the institution of slavery. People go west if you're south, you literally go west for land. So you can continue to grow cotton and increase slavery. But let's remember the shape of the Louisiana Purchase. It makes a V, right? So up north, go with me, up north, people go west by the hundreds of thousands. There's all sorts of land available up north, right? But the further south you go, the further the amount of land is. So it is not long before all the land inside the Louisiana Purchase in the south is gobbled up, right? So let's just say that you procrastinate, you twiddle your feet, you twiddle your thumbs, and you take your sweet, you want to move west. We have all this land that we've just, added onto our country. But you procrastinate and you wait for a few years. And then when you finally pack up, decide to go west for additional land, you find everything that, every square mile inside our country has now been taken. You waited too long. You drug your feet. There's no land left inside our country. And you go, that's what I get for procrastinating, right? That's what I get for waiting too long. Gosh darn, oh well. You keep going. You say, fine, let's see what else is out there. You cross our territories. You leave your country. You enter someone else's. And this is where we start the story of what leads us to the Texas Revolution. Because you're going to have about 7,000 Americans cross the border from their country, the existing United States, into Spanish territory, this land that is known as Texas. Shocking, right? And illegally set down roots and just claim the land and decide this, they're just going to take what they want, do what they want, and Spain/Mexico be damned, right? Now, the Texas Revolution is one of the most famous events in American history, right? Everyone from across the country knows of or across our country, from north to south, knows of the Texas Revolution. Guys, it is 100% our fault. Mexico had every right to come after us. It makes absolute sense that they did and why they did. They were the victims. They were the ones completely in the wrong. Excuse me, oh my dear God, that just came out of my mouth. Mexico was completely in the right. They had every right to come after us. They had every right to attack us. They were completely victimized and in the right. We were the ones completely in the wrong. No question. Hand down, no brainer. But it becomes, we are so arrogant in the 1800s. And again, we can still make that case today. Americans are pretty entitled, right? We have all these luxuries and these freedoms and these opportunities that we take for granted. Let's be quite honest. And we kind of have the superiority factor from time to time. It's sad but true. And we have that in the 1800s too, before I go off on a soapbox/tangent. We have this sense of superiority and this sense of arrogance and this sense of entitlement, and we're better than anybody. And the sense that we're just going to do, since we're better than Mexico, we're going to do what we want, when we want, how we want. Mexico is going to completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Completely play to our needs. It's not the one I'm looking for. It's on the tip of my tongue. They're going to completely completely just lay down and surrender to us, and we can do whatever we want, take whatever we want, because we're Americans and we're better. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But so, let's backtrack a little bit, kind of talk about the process. Let's introduce this section of the Texas Revolution before we pause until lecture 1 will be over. Then lecture 2 will be all about the Texas Revolution. But long story short, so back in the days when Americans first started to cross the United States border into Texas, which at the time was Spain's territory, Spanish territory. Spain still owned all of that land inside North America. Mexico had declared its independence yet, etc., etc. So Texas was Spanish territory. Spain, however, again, Spain owned New Mexico. Spain had Texas. Spain had California. Spain had areas of many, many specific states. They had areas of Utah. They had areas of Arizona, etc., etc. Spain had lost interest inside North America, though. Yeah, they owned all that land. It's like a rancher that has 5,000 acres. You may not put eyes personally on 1,000 of your acre. The back 1,000. You may not put eyes on that for every day. You may only put eyes on that every couple of months, whatever. Go with me, get the point. You're not, you have so much land that you're not going to be paying attention to it all at once. And that's how Spain was. After Spain had come up into North America decades ago with the goal of finding gold, they had claimed all this, which by the way is hilarious because there's all that gold in California right under the surface, and Spain is going to lose California just before the California gold rush. It's hilarious. Bless their little hearts. Anyway. No, I got off on that tangent. Anyway, so they come up into North America and they hadn't found gold, right? So yes, they owned the land, but gold, by the wealth, the riches to be had were all, below. We're all in the Caribbean and in Mexico, right? So yes, Spain owned it, but they weren't paying any attention to it. All their focus, all their vision and their eyes were set in Mexico. So as we are crossing into Texas, long story short, as we're crossing into this territory, that is not ours. We have no right and no permission to be there. Spain doesn't know. They're not up there. They're not paying attention. They're not physically there. And so we move into Texas. Nobody's around. Nobody's stopping us. Nobody's running us out because Spain doesn't know we're there. But shoot, since nobody is around, this land is just there for the taking, right? Nobody's using it. Nobody's messing with it. It's just plain old land that nobody seems to be using. We'll take it, right? Doesn't matter that it's in a different country. Doesn't matter that it's not ours. It's there. No one else has claimed it, so we will. So Americans will literally move into a different country. Think about if we were to go to like France and just not tell anybody that we were there, not tell, inform the country of France that we were there. Find this land that no one had technically claimed yet. Decide, hey, this looks nice. I think I'll stay. This looks nice. I want it. I'm going to keep it. And we set down roots and we fence off this land and we start to grow cotton, or we start our own little business, and we don't buy the land. We don't gain permission to be there. We don't inform anybody we're there. We just move into France and we take what we want and we do what we want, and France, we expect France will be fine with it. No. It's not the way it works, right? So ridiculous. Anyway. Again, it's what happens here. So we're moving to Texas. Nobody's around. All this land's for the taking. So we're just going to fence off however much we want. We're going to take what we want. We're not going to tell anybody that's in this country what we're doing. We're just going to fence it off. We're going to plant our cotton. We're going to bring on our slaves. And we're going to live there and act as Americans in a different country that's not ours. And, just do what we want when we want, how we want. Everyone else be damned. Because no one's stopping us because they don't know we're there. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. Bless our hearts. So, anyway, and once we figure out we can do this and no one is stopping us, which again is crazy, during this time frame, Mexico was going to get to the point that the 13 British colonies did, that we did at one time. Because again, all this time, Mexico has been a colony of Spain, the way we were the 13 colonies of Britain, right? And eventually we got to our breaking point that we didn't want to be colonies of another country anymore. We wanted our independence. We declared independence, fought a war for independence, and won. Mexico is in that same state. They're in that same shape. They're tired of being a colony of another country. They're tired of being ruled by another country. They want either kind of change of government, centralized, to fascist, etc., etc. Long story short, they want their independence too. Just like we wanted our independence from Britain, they want their independence from Spain. And they are going to fight for, over a decade for their independence, the way we did for ours. And like us, Mexico will win. As we should hopefully all know, Mexico wins their independence from Spain. And when Mexico wins their independence from Spain, considering Spain has lost all interest in land up inside North America, not only does Mexico gain their independence in their country from Spain, Spain goes ahead and throws in all the land up inside North America in this deal. They say, we don't want it in the first place. We've completely lost interest in it. You know what? You can have it all. You can have Texas. You can have, not only can you have Mexico, you've won. Congratulations. And I'm being very, this is a very quick overview. But long story short, Spain says, not only can you have you won your own country, but we're going to go ahead and throw in all the land up inside North America in this deal. So now, Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, etc., Nevada, all of that is now Mexico's. It is no longer controlled by Spain. It is Mexican territory. And while Spain had no interest in it whatsoever, Mexico does. They're gonna very quickly send them up into North America to go, kind of like we did when we got the Louisiana Territory. Jefferson sent Lewis and Clark and 33 others to go explore their new territory, figure out what was where and what was on their land. Well, Mexico's won their independence. They're gonna send people up into North America to go, explore and discover and figure out their new land. So imagine their surprise as they come up into Texas, excited to, explore Texas and see what they've got at their fingertips, figure out what they're going to do with it. They find 7,000 Americans illegally living for free in Texas, and they have claimed a large portion of Texas as their own. Haven't bought it. They're illegally. Haven't told a soul about it. They're just squatting on it. You own 5,000 acres. It's been a couple months since you put odds on that back 500. You go check it, go right back there just to go check it out. And you find someone's built a house on your property and is living there. They built a house, they've got a yard, there's dogs, there's kids running around. It's your land. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't buy it from you. They just found it and said, hey, no one seems to be here. They built a house on your property and they're living there. I mean, they got kids, they got dogs, etc., etc. They've paved a driveway. Hell to the no, right? Mexico was like, hell to the no. This isn't okay at all, which it's not. We're completely in the wrong, right? But this is where Mexico has to proceed carefully, they feel, because now they are the newest wolf cub in the world. They are the brand new country. They have been around for a minute, right? The United States has become a formidable force, right? They become a beast of a power. So you have Mexico, who's been independent for about 5 minutes, and the beast that is now the United States. And the last thing they want to do is run these Americans, just, sick the dogs on these Americans, run the Americans out, take a chance at angering the United States and have the United States come after them. Because if the United States came after little Mexico right now, there's not a shot in the world Mexico feels they could hold on to their independence. Guys, history repeats itself all the dang time. This is the exact reason Washington didn't want to put us into the war with Britain and France. When people were so angry he wasn't aiding the French, during that war between Britain and France. People were so angry at Washington for not fighting this war. Washington says, guys, if we join this war on behalf of France and we lose, Britain's coming right back after us, and we're in no state to hold on to our independence if they attack. Mexico's in that same boat. If Mexico takes off the United States comes after them, there's no way they can hold on to their independence right now. They're too young, they're too new, they're too inexperienced, they're too weak, etc., etc. So Mexico finds himself in between a rock and a hard place. They're going to have to figure out how to handle the situation without ticking off the United States too badly and have the United States come after them. So they're going to be very generous. They're going to be about as dang generous as they could possibly be. It's crazily shocking. And they're going to try and work with us, and we're going to be the ones who say, nope, not going to happen. Nope, not going to happen. Nope, you're going to do what we want, or that's it. We're living in your country. We're in the wrong. We're completely committing treason against you here. We're doing everything wrong. But nope, you're going to meet us on our terms. We're going to do what we want, when we want, how we want. Shockingly, Mexico will eventually come after us and we'll have the Texas Revolution. It's crazy the way that works, right? But we will ... there. And here in a few minutes, we're going to go take the dogs outside, go let them potty, play for a few minutes, come back in, and we will continue on with chapter 14.